Good evening, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all tonight. It's been a really inspiring conference, and I'm sure that you're all going to leave feeling very impassioned. I know I am. We watched a great movie today. What was it called, Steve? Contradiction, about atheism in the African American community. That was particularly educating for me. So, as Jess was saying, I'm a singer-songwriter from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm here on tour promoting my album, an Atheist Album. I'm also bringing with me a very infectious Australian virus. Doing my part to prove evolution. But I'm going to do my best tonight to share my songs well. So I'd just like to tell you a little bit about how I got into writing songs about atheism, considering that I grew up in a Jewish family, and I actually learned to play music in my father's Jewish wedding band. Singing Hava Nagila at bar mitzvahs and weddings. So I started questioning religion probably from the age of 16. By 19, I was an atheist. And then within the next few years, I started to get involved in secular activism. And a lot of the conversations and experiences that I was having really inspired me to start writing songs. This first song that I'd like to share with you stemmed from one of these discussions that came up very often, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced. So when somebody finds out you're an atheist and they say, well, how do you know how to be a good person without God? And how do you know the difference between what's right and what's wrong without a guidebook to tell you? Well, I've discovered the best way to win an argument is to put your argument in song. Because no one can interrupt you, really. You have to wait till the end of your 4 minutes of point after point. It's great. So this is my answer to that discussion, and it's called My Morality. My morality has nothing to do with the Bible or the verses of the Quran. My morality won't judge you by your spirituality, but by the things that you have done. My morality is not set into stone tablets who don't even tell you not to hurt children. My morality is not dictated by your deity. It's developed from empathy, dependence, and love. My morality accepts everybody's sexuality, is more concerned with inequality than validations from above. My morality is not set into stone tablets who don't even tell you that it's worthwhile to be good for being good's own sake, that not to think for yourself can be a deadly mistake. My morality is not recitable from memory, it's something inside of me. How I wanna be, treat others how I want them to treat me. Basically not to hurt anybody, abhors any brutality. It stems from our common humanity, and it's what my mother taught to me. And it's mine because I'm free. Thank you. Can you guys hear the guitar out there? Oh, awesome. Rock party. This next song that I'd like to share with you is a loud noise. And for my next song, this next song is not one of mine, but it's my favorite song to play. It's everything that I love about music. It's motivating, it's uplifting, it's inspiring, and it's a Phil Oak song called When I'm Gone. There's no place in this world where I belong when I'm gone. And I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing out this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone. I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. And I can't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't feel the flowing of the time when I'm gone. Oh, the pleasures of life will not be mine when I'm gone. Said my brain won't pour out a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone. I can't even suffer from my pain when I'm gone. And I can't say who's to praise and who's to blame when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't feel the golden of the sun when I'm gone. Oh, the evenings and the mornings will be one when I'm gone. And I can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I guess we better do it while we're here. Thank you. So I grew up in a Jewish household, and there were different types of Judaism that I was exposed to. It's like Christianity. There's Reform, Conservative. There's like all different types of Judaism. The Judaism I mostly was exposed to was hypocritical Judaism. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's relatively old. But I was exposed to different types of Judaism in different settings. So at home, we lived a pretty liberal, or Reform type of observance. But we wouldn't call ourselves Reform or liberal. We still maybe called ourselves traditional Jewish. And we went to the festivals and had, family outings and Shabbat dinner, and we ate kosher. And I recently remembered, actually, we weren't kosher completely, but we would do the separation of milk and meat. So if we ate chicken for dinner, we would have to wait 3 hours before we could have ice cream for dessert. Which is really upsetting to a kid. That's the thing that made me question it. I want my ice cream. I remember we had to bargain down the time. It was initially 6 hours, and then we convinced my parents to put it down to 3, because God was okay with that. Anyways, ice cream gone. So yeah, home was pretty, pick and choose and open to negotiation. But then every week we would go to an Orthodox synagogue. And we would drive there and park around the corner and hope that no one saw us. But we would go to an Orthodox synagogue. And this is the kind of Judaism that had gender segregation. So the women would sit upstairs. And if you couldn't make it upstairs, you would sit up the back with a curtain in front of you. And you weren't allowed to participate in leading the service. You weren't allowed to read from the Torah, from the scrolls, the Old Testament, which is what the whole service revolved around. And then the other Judaism I was exposed to was in school. I went to a private Jewish school, and it was a liberal type of Judaism, not Orthodox. But even so, we still had prayer every day in primary school, from ages 6 to 11. And then as we started to get older, maybe 4th grade, then we started to have gender-segregated prayer, even in the classroom as little kids. And one prayer I remember in particular was a call and response between the boys and the girls. And the boys would recite in Hebrew, "Dear God, thank you for not making me a woman." And then the girls would respond with, "Dear God, thank you for making me what I am." And so these are little flashes of what it's like to be a woman, a young woman in Judaism, even in a mild liberal Judaism, like the one I grew up with. We also an Orthodox man is not allowed to hear an unaccompanied solo female voice because it's too arousing, which is true. It's very arousing, and anybody is free to leave if they feel they need to. So these memories were the inspiration behind my next song, as well as a video that I watched of a Christian woman who was explaining why, according to New Testament scripture, women need to submit to their husbands and why they can't be teachers of men. And what was so striking about this particular video was that the woman was a great teacher, and she was very eloquent and obviously intelligent, and she would have been a great teacher, but she was using those skills to keep other women in a state of submission. So this next song is called Eve, and it discusses the way that Old and New Testament scripture define women's place in the home and society. The Bible tells me I was made from man, and I must do for him everything that I can. I must surrender to his will. I must submit. I can't make the household decisions, 'cause I am unfit. It tells me my place with everlasting grace. The Bible tells me I must be silent, you can't hear my voice. My role has been divinely divided, and I have no other choice. I may not be a teacher of man, I must cover up my shame. These are the laws of the one who in vain I cannot name. He tells me my place with everlasting grace. And my punishment for wanting to learn is a painful birth from which I may not return. The Bible tells me that I am unclean, I am impure, you cannot touch me, and it has nothing to do with where I've been. It is part of who I am, it is because I corrupt man. I was asking for it just by being a woman. He tells me my place with everlasting grace. And my punishment for wanting to learn is a painful birth from which I may not return. The Bible tells me I was made for it from man, and I must do for him everything that I can. I must surrender to his will, I must submit. I can't make the household decisions, 'cause I am unfit. It tells me my place with everlasting grace. That tells me my place with everlasting grace. Cheers. This next song is another one that stemmed out of discussion. And I have a friend who doesn't believe in evolution. And we grew up together in my Jewish community. And he's always up for a good argument. And this one particular day we were talking about evolution. And he doesn't believe in it, but it's not from a place of ignorance. He understands the mechanism, he understands the way that it works. He once won an essay writing competition about evolution, but he just doesn't believe. So I asked him, I said, you understand the mechanism, can't you just look at the evidence and see that it's there, it's backed up? And he said, this is a bad South African accent, he said, I don't want to look at the evidence, Shelley. I already suspect that my life is meaningless and I don't want it to be confirmed. Fantastic sentence. And I appreciated his honesty. So I wrote this song for him, and it's about somebody who is holding on to their belief, not for its truth value, but for the way that it makes them feel and for the comfort that it brings. And this is called House with No Walls. You're standing in a house with no You don't wanna leave because it feels like home. It's in their house with no floors. You can feel the mud seeping in, but you just choose to ignore all the evidence that what you think isn't real. You don't look because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. Protect you from the world, but how can you be sure you're wearing anything at all? And even when the others tell you that your raincoat is worth more than all the evidence that what you think isn't real, you don't look because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. Why don't you build your shelter from the things we know? All the outdated dogma, just let it go. Why don't you build your shelter from the things we know? All the outdated dogma, just let it go. Standing in a house with no walls. You don't wanna leave because it feels like home. You're sitting in a house with no floors. No, you can feel the mud seeping in, but you just choose to ignore all the evidence that what you think isn't real. You don't look because you don't like the way it makes you feel. You say you need the shelter to get through all your faults. That's why you choose to live in a house with no walls. Cheers. This next song I wrote when I was living alone for the first time. I was living in London well, I wasn't living alone, there were 6 other people in my apartment. It's London, but I had my own room. And I wasn't with my family. So I heard this spooky noise outside my room one night, and I thought to myself, I'm so glad that I don't believe in ghosts anymore. Thank you, Sam Harris. Because I remember a time when I would have been afraid, when I did believe. And my deeper understanding, my knowledge of the world, freed me from fear. And I instantly related that experience to what it was like losing my faith. I think when you have some comfort taken away from you, maybe a deity or a guardian angel or a guiding spirit, anything of that sort, it can be very scary at first. You feel like comfort is taken away and everything tips upside down. But eventually it became one of the most empowering experiences of my life, because I realized for the first time that the responsibility for my life and my actions and how I am to people and what I believe, the way I think about things, the responsibility is entirely up to me. And I need to learn to rely and depend on myself. So overall, eventually it became very empowering. And this song is about that night, and it's called I Don't Believe in Fairies. I don't believe in fairies. I don't believe hungry for our throats. I don't believe in demons or witches that can fly. I don't believe in dragons, 'cause I think they're all a lie. So when I'm in the dark, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid of creation's imaginations I've made. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Zeus. I don't believe in Allah. I think they have no use. I don't believe in Adam. I don't believe in Eve. I don't believe in talking snakes. I think they're make-believe. So when I'm in the dark, in a dark place, in a dark place, I know it's only me and what I face. I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe that we are children who need to fear to behave well. I don't believe in salvation. I don't believe in sin. I don't believe it will be easy, but I believe that reason can win. So when I'm in the dark, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid of creation's imaginations I've made. When I'm in the dark, in a dark place, in a dark place, I know it's only me and what I face. Thank you. There's no witches in the audience. I got in trouble at a humanist conference once from a witch. It just shows you can offend someone everywhere. So in the meantime, I'm going to play a different song. I made a new album, actually, since I've been on the road. With this one, and I was really lucky to get to work with a very talented guitarist from here in the US. His name's Adam Levy, and you might not have heard of him, but you've definitely heard his playing on the radio. He's played with Nora Jones and Tracy Chapman and all those, hits of theirs. That's his smooth guitar playing. So I was very lucky to get a chance to work with him, and we wrote a record together. So I'd love to play just a couple of songs from that for you guys. This is called Stuck in the Memory. We said our goodbyes a season ago. Now the leaves are turning to red and gold. Catch a glimpse of my shadow where they used to be two. Now I'm stuck in the memory of you. I go out for a drive and a bit of fresh air. Turn the radio on and our song is still playing soft and low, like you used to do. Now I'm stuck in the memory of you. Cut off all my hair, got a brand new style, bought a new dress to wear, and I put on a smile. I go out dancing with my best girlfriends, but where do I turn when the music ends? We said our goodbyes and the years have rolled on. I've met other guys, but they've come and gone. How I wish my poor arms could hold somebody new, but I'm stuck in the memory. I'm stuck in the memory. I'm stuck in the memory of you. So this next song is also from that album, and it's the title track. It's called Little March, and it's about a Romanian folk festival. It's a folk song about a folk festival, which means that we will all grow beards as we listen to it. So this festival is celebrated on the 1st of March. It's to represent, the coming in of the spring. And it's called the Marxishore, which translates directly into Little March. And what happens is everybody gives each other these little trinkets. It used to be just the girls would receive them, but now everybody gets them. It's more like a symbol of friendship. And they're a little brooch that you put on your shirt, and on the brooch is a bow made out of intertwined red and white string, which is representing the seasons changing. And while this song is about this festival in particular, for me it's like a meditation on ritual, in a more broader sense. I was brought up in a very ritual-focused household, and when I look back, I really enjoyed those times. I think ritual and shared experience can provide deep meaning in our lives. I think we all have this inherent capacity to be moved by a shared experience. It can connect us to the past. It can make us focus on this moment right now, and it can give us a connection to the future as well. And I think religion has taken advantage of that capacity that most of us have within us for this kind of transformative shared experience. And it's not letting us do it to its full capacity. We're doing these rituals without any thought. I remember doing them because that's what my father did, and that's what his mother did, and that's what her father did, and we perpetuate the ritual for perpetuating the ritual's sake, rather than for utilizing it for what it can be, which is a positive, transformative experience. Where was I? I think we can do better than that, and I think that we are doing that. I think events like this is a perfect example of us having a positive, transformative shared experience. And for me, it's playing live music or going to live music or doing a book club, something like that. So this is called Little March. Little March is here, and all of the girls receive their twirls of thread. They proudly pin them on their shirts in a sea of white and red. The colors are the changing of the seasons in the bowl. Tie the children to tradition of 1,000 springtimes ago, when grandmothers of grandmothers were all so very young. They welcome back the springtime, and the cycle pushes on. Bring flowers on, bring in the warm. Forget the storm and the night. Little March is here. It will always be in a sea of red and white. Oh, grandmothers of grandmothers, the springs that you have seen are all threaded to each other with the trinkets in between. Little March is here, and all of the girls receive their twirls of thread. They proudly pin them on their shirts in a sea of white and red. Cheers. Do we have time for a couple more songs?
Apocalyptic love song.
Yeah, that's coming. I needed my thank you. Hecklers, come on. No, I needed my caper for that one. How's everyone doing? Awesome. Do we have time for 3 more songs?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Okay. So, I'm surprised I can still sing. I thought I would be like my song, House with No Walls, Girl with No Voice. So this is a song about some rocks. I wrote this song about the stromatolites, and just in case anybody doesn't know what they are, I'll explain. The stromatolites were the earliest life forms on the planet, and they existed 3.5 billion years ago. They were cyanobacteria that lived on the ocean, and over thousands and thousands of years they would wash up on the shore, and they would build these kind of rock-like structures. So they look like rocks, but they were really alive. And they're actually responsible, they have this chemical reaction that releases oxygen. So they were responsible for the oxygenation of the early Earth. And so they exist today in a modern form in 2 places in the world. And one is in South America, and the other is on discovered the west coast of Australia, and I'd always wanted to go visit. And so I had to drive up from Perth, so it was like a 23-hour drive. And my rental car had no music, no radio or anything. Just kind of going mad. I was already in a heightened state when I got there. And I thought I'd be able to fly. I didn't realize there were no planes, so I had only like an hour to spend there before I had to drive 23 hours back to catch my plane home. So I had this 1 hour with the Ross, and I went out onto the pier, and I stared over, and I looked for long enough, and I saw a bubble of oxygen come out. And I felt this deep, deep sense of gratitude. I felt this awe for the natural world around me and its beauty, and I felt so grateful that I was able to experience these kinds of deep emotions. And I felt grateful to all of the people who dedicated their life to science, to building the body of knowledge, so that I could know that, so that I could look at what my brain tells me is a rock, but I could know that it was so much more. And in the car ride home, I wrote this song, which is about that feeling of gratitude, but also about holding on to it, even in the face of all the hardships that life brings, all of the suffering, and even in the face of the things that frustrate us, that society is not perfect, and we're going to raise our voices in anger, but that doesn't take away from our gratitude. Life can be hard, things can get rough. Stay on your guard and protect the good stuff. But sometimes we all feel like we've had enough. Don't want to spend my short time feeling down. I'll go through my days getting used to frown. So I will express my anger where credit is due, but it won't take away from my gratitude. There's nowhere to hide. When you live in a cage, you feel young inside, but on the outside you age. And everyone lied when they told you there's the next stage. 'Cause one day my memories will all be gone. Not a single one of all who I love will go on. And I'm afraid of the end. Yeah, I don't want it all to, but it won't take away from my gratitude. When the world is on fire, well, down come the rains. Truth and desire help us overcome our pain. And when we take it higher, only mystery remains. And it's almost too good to be real. And while it's hard to define the transcendence we feel, I don't believe in a great power to say thank you to, but it won't take away from my gratitude. And after the rain has washed everything away, well, here comes the rainbow to brighten up your day. In contrast with the gray, confusion runs deep, and it's hard to know what's right. Sometimes you can't sleep and you get lonely at night, but you decide what you keep, and the morning brings a new light. I'd rather find out what's real than deny. The truth may be hard, but it's better than living a lie. So before disaster strikes and everything I've built comes unglued, I'll be reveling and dancing in my gratitude. Thank you so much. This next song is a single from my album, an Atheist Album. I wrote it after I had a conversation with a preacher in the street near my house. And I guess I felt sorry for him. He was selling Jesus in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. He would not have had much luck that day, or less than usual. And I talked to him for a while, and he told me very nicely and very politely that I was going to burn in hell forever. And well, I could, you know, empathize and see the humanity of this person who genuinely believes what he's telling me and is spending his day trying to help me in his own mind. I was angry, and I felt very angry. I went home and I wrote this song straight away. I'm thinking, who are you to come into my world and tell me how to live my life and put your morality on me, put your sexual morality onto me, when you haven't even taken the time to find out first if it's true or not. So, this is called Saved. Say that I need to be saved. Say with me, the devil's got his way. I want to know how when you are praying, when you are doomsdaying, how you think you know that someone is listening to what you are saying. So you think that you tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies. Say I need to hear the truth. A sales pitch of eternal life and eternal youth, with all these blessings you are bestowing upon the one you say is all-knowing. Or are they really deserved if he is sending me where you say I am going? So you think that you tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs. I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies. And so you think that you can tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan that's been devised. I wonder, what will it take for you to
start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys. You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs. I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies, of your lies.
Thank you so much, guys. I got a tune up for my last song. Yeah, when we recorded that song in the studio, we had a full band and we were trying to do. Yeah, that'll be. Cool. Anyways, yeah, when we were in the studio doing the take, when I said the word bullshit, I was so angry that all this spit came flying out of my mouth. And the drummer saw it and started laughing, and we ruined the take and had to start again. I really want this last song to be in tune. I wrote this song for Christopher Hitchens, who was absolutely a very big inspiration to me and to a lot of people, but particularly when I was going through this change in my worldview, and really helped me understand the value of thinking for myself. And I tried to take some of the things that he said in his speeches that I found moving, and I put them into this song. And this is my favorite song of mine to sing. It really puts me in the moment. And for me, it's about finding and creating meaning in what I've realized to be an inherently meaningless life. And purpose, creating purpose in an inherently purposeless life. And what gives me deep meaning is other people and shared experiences with those that I love, and new friends and old friends, and the kind of thing that... So this is called Apocalyptic Love Song for Hitchens. One day the sun is going to die. For us it means no more sunsets to the universe, just one less star in the sky. And almost all who ever lived have already died. Countless stories of love and war and hope and pain, now silently side by side. And yes, I understand that my whole life is just a blink of an eye in the history of the earth, with each moment that goes by. But this moment that I'm with you, it feels like time has stood still. It feels somehow like it matters, and then it always will. In 1 billion years, the oceans will dry.
while somehow life may continue. It will not be known to you and I. To think we are so important is an obvious crime. We know that we are specks on a tiny dot, hurtling through space and time. And yes, I understand that my whole life is just a blink of an eye, and the history of the earth is with each moment that goes by. But this moment that we're here through, it feels like time has stood still. It feels somehow like it matters, and that it always will. Yes, I understand that my whole life is just a blink of an eye, and the history of the earth is with each moment that goes by. But this moment that